Welcome back to Continental Club, everybody. Chris Hamster Hamill is off today, so we've replaced him with James Stresshead Wayne.
Yeah, desperate times, desperate measures. It couldn't be worse for you lot at home, to be fair.
I know, we've actually had to drag him away from his edit to be on this show. He's then going to have to edit this show. Nobody else was available, but he's still going to do a good job. Van Straten's here as well. The first question was sent in by Manchester Boy 212. He says, why has nobody been sacked in the Premier League yet? It's nearly November. Well, it is November now. And who will be the first to go?
A bloodthirsty question.
A bloodthirsty question from Manchester Boy. It is odd though. Usually someone's got chopped by now. I remember De Boer last season lasted 4 or 5 games, didn't he? And he was a goner.
I think it was 7. And to be fair, they didn't score in that time.
Shocking.
Though actually, I thought De Boer deserved to be sacked less than some other people last season. And I think, let's not get into it. But Palace turned out to be all right.
Yeah.
And whereas this year, I mean, some people have kind of surprised me. Like, look, don't get me wrong. I think Warnock's a horrible manager. Yeah. But Cardiff have been nowhere near as bad as I thought they'd be.
No, I remember
they've been kind of all right.
I remember George Wright very specifically saying, 100% Cardiff are going to be worse than Derby when they were in that season.
They haven't even got the worst defence. They've got the 3rd worst defence in the Premier League. You know who's worse than them? Sean Dyche's Burnley.
But Dyche carries enough favours within the club, there's no way he gets sacked.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's fair enough. Like, I mean, if he goes down and then they don't return from the Championship, then you might see Burnley thinking about a change. And to be honest, I doubt that they'd return from the Championship terribly quickly like they did last time. But yeah, I kind of feel that way about Wagner at Huddersfield as well. Huddersfield are so bad, it's genuinely unbelievable. What was the game the other day where they were just like, even against Fulham, they looked ropey.
Yeah, and Fulham are vile.
I think we all probably agree that Jokanovic is the leading contender to be sacked right now.
In terms of the first name that comes to mind in terms of leading the sack race, it has to be him.
Fulham fans themselves are tearing each other apart about a lot of people are saying, he's done a lot for the club, as a lot of these kind of managers have, getting them into the Premier League. Let's give him a chance, all this lot. The other half, no, he's not performing. I think he had a similar thing with Watford, didn't he? Didn't he take Watford up?
He took Watford up, but then there was like some falling out with the Potsy. Didn't he end up going to Israel for like 6 months or something?
I'm not too sure, but
I think he went to like Maccabi Haifa.
I thought it was a similar situation where they took him up. He brought them up and then didn't perform to the same standard.
Wherever he was,
he
obviously didn't learn how to coach a defence because it's absolutely shot to bits back there. He could get away with it in the Championship because his side was so ball dominant, and he defended by keeping hold of the ball and being very structured. In the Premier League, when he's not ball dominant, he leaves them insanely exposed, and they're not good enough to be exposed.
Yeah, he's on kind of like Roberto Martinez stuff at the moment. But the thing is, they can't attack for some reason. They've just stopped being able to attack. Like at the beginning of the season, it looked like with Mitrovic, with Schürrle, with Vieto, all these guys, it looked like they were going to be able to outscore teams. But recently, people have realised that if you cut off service to Mitrovic, Schürrle's just going to shoot from anywhere. And instead of getting Kearney and Seri on the ball in the final third, who are the guys who are going to make sensible, rational decisions, Andre Schürrle is going to see the net and think, I'm having that, and we'll just pump it in from anywhere. I think he had 11 shots in a game earlier on in the season, and it wasn't because they were so dominant. It was because he's an idiot.
Did he score in that game? With those 11 shots?
I don't know if he did. It was like Diamante behaviour.
Yeah. Papi Cisse vibes.
Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know. I think that he needs to be coaching that out of Schürrle or dropping Schürrle. But he's definitely making weird decisions. Like if you decide, we're going to lose to Man City anyway, let's play a really attacking lineup and see if we can do some damage. That's one thing. If you go away to Cardiff and concede 4 goals,
it's another.
That's quite another, because Cardiff's attack is not good. And Fulham just looked like schoolboys. They got thoroughly kind of ripped apart by Huddersfield the other day.
That's crazy.
And Huddersfield have no talent in attack. And you do have to take into account the circumstances here. Like Fulham's squad is not a relegation level squad. Southampton's squad is not a relegation level squad. Neither is Brighton's.
No.
And I think that Houghton, Hughes and Jokanovic are all guys who've kind of got to answer for the underperformance of the team.
Particularly at Southampton with Mark Hughes. Obviously came in, they saw a slight uplift, which tends to happen with Mark Hughes, doesn't it? It's sort of a 6-month bounce. And then suddenly didn't recruit pretty well in the summer. Danny Ings is effectively carrying the front line. If he picks up an injury, I dread to think the circumstances Southampton fans are going to be put into. They've lost Les Reed this week, a massively significant figure at the club, and I think that could ultimately shorten Mark Hughes' lifespan even more, because I'm pretty sure that Les Reed would have been a fan of Mark Hughes for him to be appointed in the first place. Such was his level of influence at the club. I'm concerned for Mark Hughes. I think that Southampton will chop him if results don't start to improve.
I'm more concerned for Southampton than Mark Hughes. Like, I'm not Mark Hughes' biggest fan. I as you said, like he takes over a team, does well for a bit, makes him think that he's a good manager, and as you said, gets his transfers in, gets his style of playing, and you realise he's actually terrible. And I think Championship is perfect for him. Like, he's not a Premier League manager, unfortunately. And it's annoying because Southampton have had fantastic managers in the past. You look at their recent history, and the fact they've ended up with Mark Hughes is a really bad sign.
Yeah. Even Pellegrino had more of a plan than this.
Yeah.
Like you could see how they were trying to play. And now you look at Pellegrino and Puel's struggles with the attack, and you think, you know what? Maybe this wasn't a coaching issue. Like this is purely a talent drain. Tadic has gone off to Ajax this season and is absolutely.
Yeah.
But how did Mark Hughes sanction the move for Tadic to go to Ajax?
To leave?
It must have been pre-agreed.
I don't know. I wonder if there was something with Tadic because Koeman benched him at stages as well, even though he was his best creator, and Pellegrino did too. And you kind of think maybe he is a problem behind the scenes. But the fact that they didn't think what we need is an out-and-out number 10 who is just going to create chance after chance after chance. Those players are like gold dust to these teams. They will keep you up, and they can make the difference between something like 18th and often 12th. You think about Payet at West Ham, Tadic in his early days, and Mane at Southampton. Like these are really vital. Gylfi Sigurdsson at Swansea. So I think that was a position they needed to recruit at, and I don't necessarily want to blame Hughes for that, but he could definitely be getting more out of the talent.
100%.
Mario Lemina in midfield, Højbjerg in midfield.
Ori Romeu is actually a very good defender. I really enjoy watching him play, and you see him this season, and he's been shocking.
Yeah,
absolutely shocking.
They've got no structure at all.
They've got no structure at all, and the recruitment in the summer was partly to do with that. And then there's another club, you talked about him just then, Brighton, who recruited quite smartly, statistically anyway. Yeah. Almost in the opposite way to Southampton, who went, we're going to take a punt on Danny Ings. And it still hasn't really worked. It doesn't really fit Brighton's current system, the players they signed in the summer.
But none of those signings as well are playing regularly. Like, Basuma's got some minutes, but I think about half of the available ones. I think Pascal Gross has been injured. Like, he hasn't played very much. So that's fair enough. That's a big loss. But you look at Glenn Murray. Glenn Murray is playing really well. Glenn Murray's having a really good season as a striker. I think his expected goal is about 0.5 a game. Like, that's exceptional for a guy of his age. In fact, it's very good for anyone. But there's no way that squad should be as reliant on Glenn Murray as it is, or on penalties as it is. They got Izquierdo in last January, I think, actually. They got in Jahan Bash in the summer, who was involved in 30-plus goals in the Eredivisie last season. These are really good, progressive passers who are also goal scorers. Yves Bissouma came in from Lille, looks like a sensational young central midfielder. And Bernardo as well, the fullback from RB Leipzig, brought in to replace Bruno. Bruno's still playing.
It's crazy.
So I look around and I think there's a disconnection there between the recruitment team and the management team, and that is ultimately what often gets you fired. And in the case of Chris Hughton, people don't want to fire him because he's not a.
Yeah,
he
seems like a
really nice guy, but Hughton, like Hughes, was a kind of league average manager 5 to 10 years ago. And the league has got much better in terms of managerial talent since then. So you go from being, maybe the 10th best manager in the league to maybe the 19th best manager in the league.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, if I was Southampton, I would be having a look at whoever is in charge of that Brighton recruitment and going, Les Reed's gone. He was fantastic for us at bringing through youth academy players and signing pretty smartly, the likes of Sadio Mane. Let's get the Brighton head in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where Les Reed's going to go, but whoever picks him up is going to have absolute fantastic time.
Yeah, you think like a West Ham or something would be really sensible to get him in and have somebody run their transfers.
I think he's too sensible for West Ham. He's actually too sensible for West Ham. It'd be interesting to see where he ends up anyway. Is there any other managers across the continent? Obviously, you did the podcast this week on AC Milan. I wasn't there. That's coming out this weekend, so stay tuned for that. Gattuso.
Yeah, the thing is Gattuso's doing okay so far this season. They're in 4th. I think they've got the 6th best attack in the league, and they've got the 2nd best defence. Yeah. And he did always produce a good defence. I think he got... I can't remember what the team was called, but didn't he get relegated?
He got relegated
from the Italian second division with like the 2nd best defence in the league. So I mean, he can coach a defence, and they've got enough in attack. But at the moment, there are players like Suso and Çalhanoğlu who are really good creators, but they kind of shoot from anywhere. And I think they need a little bit more guidance there. We were obviously talking about the Wenger rumours, and I don't think it'd be the worst idea to get a manager in who said to all their players, "You don't shoot from 40 yards anymore. You're not allowed to do that. You're not Clarence Seedorf. Stop it." And even Clarence Seedorf didn't do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at the list of managers who are out there available at the moment, obviously the high profile guys are Lopetegui, Zidane, Jardim, Conte. But below that, you start getting to guys like Montella, of course, who was at Milan before, might be an interesting fit for Fulham. You get to Hasenhüttl, who's been sitting unemployed since leaving RB Leipzig in the summer. I think they would be kind of interesting candidates. And I don't know, it's really dependent on how much time you're going to give a manager and the kind of football you want to play. But when I see somebody like Mancini managing, the Italian national side, I think managerial talent is out there. They could improve you now. If Benitez were to get sacked by Newcastle, Fulham could do worse than picking him up. So there are edges to be found. Yeah. What frustrates me is that teams either lack the imagination to try and do that, or they go from one manager who's playing this insanely different style to the next manager who wants to play, a completely different style as well. And then they give those managers 50 mil to spend or whatever, and you end up building a lopsided, kind of chimera of a squad that's inherently unstable.
Yeah. If you're saying lack of imagination, I think Henry at Monaco is prime for that.
Yeah.
I think they've had their largest Champions League loss this week. They've played 5 games, lost 3, I think.
Yeah,
and I just don't understand it. As you said, there's so many good managers out there. I understand, he played for Monaco and he's a great player, but to jump into a team like that were already struggling.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
After a manager who's been great as well.
I mean, being an assistant to Roberto Martinez in a Belgian squad that were always going to do well because of the quality of players they have, doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. So for them to recruit him, as you said, when there's so many managers out there, is an absolute joke. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is within 10 games gone. It's
staggering. I can't think of another industry which is as lucrative and yet which is run in this manner.
Yeah.
Where a team will say, where a club will say, obviously they have commercial considerations and stuff, but the team is still often the heart of those commercial considerations, like the performance of the team. And it's so weird that they could say, we will put this very important part of our business in the hands of somebody purely on the basis of sentiment. That is absolutely crazy to me. I cannot believe that happens. And I kind of wish sometimes, people talk about how they don't want to be treated like customers, they want to be treated as fans. But sometimes I think I would rather my club acted like a sensible, multi-billion-dollar enterprise, because then they wouldn't do dumb then you'd see them get in a director, like Man United not having a director of football is incomprehensible to me. The fact Arsenal took this long to get one in is staggering. And then Monaco saying, well, this guy used to play for us, he's got very little managerial experience, but we like him and he played under Pep Guardiola, so maybe he's going to be a genius. Don't get me wrong, Thierry Henry seems like an intelligent man and he's certainly a likeable man, but the arrogance of him to take that job with no experience at all is stunning to me. And frankly, I'm delighted that he's failing because he deserves it. It's moronic. He should never have taken the job. Monaco should never have offered it to him. And everybody who wanted him to succeed is a person who's essentially rooting against talented people actually proving themselves worthy of the jobs they get given.
And you know what? Trying to follow in the footsteps of Leo Jardim is no small task.
He's so good.
He's one of the top, one of the elite managers in world football.
I really think he is.
And it's just a crazy decision. So who do you guys, anyway, think is going to get the sack first in the Premier League? And why has nobody been sacked yet? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. 2 massive games to preview this weekend. Of course, the Manchester Derby and Bayern Munich versus Borussia Dortmund. Let's start with the Manchester Derby then. What are our thoughts going into it? Who's going to win? James, you are a City fan. Kick us off.
Do you want just a straight out prediction?
Who's going to win?
Where is it?
It's at the Etihad.
I think City will dominate the game, obviously. I think that the form of undefeated so far in the Premier League, smashing teams left, right and centre. Was it 6-0 on the weekend? Midweek, sorry. I can't see anything but a City win, but it's annoyingly, Manchester Derby's the last kind of 2-3 seasons have actually been quite boring. I think the 2-3 when you came back and beat us was probably one of the most entertaining of the last kind of 3-4 years.
Definitely.
And we always expect something big, and it's usually quite a damp game. But yeah, City will dominate as you expect. United will kind of try and mess up the game as much as they can. Marouane Fellaini, elbows flying. But
I don't think Fellaini will start this one.
No, he won't.
I think United will probably deploy Sanchez in the number 9 and just be really busy going forward.
Yeah.
Martial and Lingard as well off him. Lingard being really busy and a Herrera in midfield. I think he'll just be super compact going into this one, Jose. Something he's done pretty much entirely throughout his career against
not
big
against
teams.
Juve though. You started the Juve game, you really came out at them, and they kept getting in behind the fullbacks. And if you do that against City, you'll get brutal.
And I think that's why he won't do it against City. Especially, I kind of.
But are they good enough to sit deep and just like in a deep block and defend? It feels like whenever they've done that recently, they've been picked off.
They have, but equally, you look at the games like Chelsea, where we started fairly compactly, and we started poorly because of it. But then second half, we start being a little bit more expansive, usually at 1 goal down, and then things start to turn around for us. The same thing happens
in the last game,
pretty much every match. United start too conservatively, too deep, and it takes a goal to wake us up. I'm just thinking in this game, the same thing's going to happen. We're going to be too conservative, too deep. We're going to be right on the edge of our own area. Lindelof's been playing really well for us in recent weeks. It's going to take some brilliance from him. I'm nervous about Raheem Sterling running through our defence. I'm thinking potentially you might start Leroy Sané and just say, run at dusty old Ashley Young. Get them knees going.
I feel like he might keep Sané for the second half. If he expects you to be defensive, I think he'll play all his passers. You know, like your Bernardo Silvas, David Silva, Sterling, maybe Mahrez, just all the guys who are going to pass through you. And then in the second half, if you have to come out and try and get a goal, then you put Sané on and you say, just sit behind Ashley Young and just wait for him to run up there.
Because we're going to be super compact and look to hit you on the break through Alexis Sanchez.
I'm a bit worried it's going to be a boring game though.
It's definitely going to be a boring game. It's Jose Mourinho. Yeah, but I mean, other than the Chelsea game, actually, earlier in the season was pretty exciting, the 2-2.
I just find it so hard to see United winning. Like even the Juventus victory, like congratulations and everything, but you're terrible on the night. Should have been 3-0 down by the time it got to the last 10 minutes. Like, don't get me wrong, last 10 minutes, good. But they invite pressure, Juventus, and that was a bit stupid on their part because Fellaini's such a danger from set pieces, and Mata just happened to get a free kick in exactly the position he wants it. Like to me, I just don't really see how you hurt Man City. They're so dominant. They're more dominant statistically this season in the league than they were last season when they got 100 points, and it just feels like they'll do what they want. Like if you sit deep, they'll play through you. If you try and open it up in the second half, they'll just run in behind you. And I really fear for the team.
It needs some Paul Pogba brilliance for United to get anything out of this game.
Oh my God, yeah, does it ever? And Ander Herrera needs to make 1,000 tackles and interceptions. I just think when you look at Man City's record against the lower table sides, it's incredibly dominant, and United's defence this season profiles like a lower table side. That's worrying for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to require a David De Gea-esque Arsenal performance away in 2017-18. Do you remember that, when he made the famous double save? It's going to require either that, some Paul Pogba brilliance like at the Etihad last season, or for the first time in a red shirt, Alexis Sanchez shows up and just does a madness.
Well, he did last time he played against us.
Yeah, I mean, he was okay, but it was Pogba running the show, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, he still performed the best he has performed in a Man United shirt in that game.
But we've seen him do it before for Arsenal, where he just takes the game by the scruff of the neck.
Sure, but I don't know if he's got quite the same dynamism he ever had, and he rarely did that against City, and City's defence has got a lot better since.
I was about to say,
can you see him toasting Kyle Walker? Because I certainly can't. This is the thing. In that Arsenal game, hugely rode your luck in defence. David De Gea was unbelievable, like an octopus. But the thing is, you were at least able to counter against Arsenal's defence because it was horrible. Yeah. Whereas against City, there's nowhere to go.
We're more stable this season than we have been.
Yeah, you get upfield and you're you encounter the best defence in the league.
I don't know what you conceded 4 goals in the Premier League so far.
Yeah,
Stones and Laporte, they're just a beautiful pairing. They work well together. There's something nuts 4 days in between them, actually age-wise, and they're both extremely young. Going forward, they can both pass well. I mean, we've seen Stones step into CDM at times, kind of at late games when we bring on Otamendi, who's now back. We've got basically a full-strength squad. The one thing I would say is Mendy. I would like to see Zinchenko in the place of Mendy, because I think defensively Mendy's been suspect at best. I think I don't know what's going on.
It'll be alright on the weekend because United don't play any right wingers. So that would be absolutely fine. You have the free reign of the pitch.
That would be your thought, right? You'd put Rashford there and you'd be like, I mean, Mendy might have lost his mind.
Yeah, potentially.
Mendy might be having a 6 months where he's a championship player, coming back from an injury.
It's bizarre, but when who was it we won the 6-1 against recently? God, I can't remember the team. But he was flapping. Absolutely flapping at the ball. No, it's Huddersfield, I think.
You've beaten a lot of teams.
You've beaten everybody 6-0.
6-1, but Pep Guardiola was just absolutely berating, indirectly him, because he was genuinely missing the football. Every time he's trying to clear, he let the ball run out all the time. Zinchenko's performances have been so much better. He's getting the tackles and interceptions in, he's getting the key passes in, he's getting the assists in, he's getting...
Well, he just feels like more of a possession player because he's an attacking midfielder. He's a bit more secure on the ball. So if Man City expect to have all the ball, Zinchenko might be a better option. And then if the game were to open up a bit in the second half, maybe you put Mendy on just to exploit it or to try and pin their right back.
Benny's got a great delivery, but that's all I've seen this season.
Let's get some predictions then for this one, Jimbo.
I could say 2-0, but like very edgy. Yeah. Very edgy.
Pat?
3-1. I feel like you'll get something.
I think 2-0 as well. Although, having said that, it could comfortably be like a 5-0. Yeah, United could just capitulate.
You have no idea what's going to turn up with United. They are actually, weirdly, they're kind of like late era Wenger, where they might turn up and be like, you know, like against Spurs in the first half, you were fantastic. Against Chelsea in the second half, you know, it's possible for United to just turn up and be great. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to be dog shit.
Yeah, can't see it in this one. The other big game of the weekend, Bayern Munich versus Dortmund. Bayern obviously 4 points off the top of the Bundesliga at the moment, where Dortmund sit. Can we see anything other than Bayern winning this one still, though? I still think Bayern are going to win this game.
Really?
Yeah, man. As good as Dortmund have been, there's just something in the back of my mind that just screams it's Bayern.
I mean, I don't think Dortmund have lost this season. I think they're
in the league.
In the league, yeah. We lost to Atleti. Even
they were terrible against Atleti.
Like in the first leg, you watch players like, I know it's the obvious shout, Sancho. I was watching him, and the way he controls the ball and just beats his man and gets a little pass across, or bombs it down the wing and just terrorises some fullbacks is incredible. And Kovac has been
crap.
Yeah, I was trying to put it nicer, but he hasn't been the best, and the team don't really have a full-on identity. They do. Defensively, they've been
suspect,
questionable. Yeah. Sula, I remember.
I don't know. I think defensively they've been unbelievable. Like
but they have moments. So they have massive moments.
Oh, sure, yeah. But they give up. But they give up so little. Like when you look at their shots and expected goals and everything conceded, they give up nothing. Like it's. If anything, I feel the problem with Kovac is he's too conservative and he can't get anything out of the attack. Like, that's what worries me about it. Like, if Dortmund have a good defensive day, Bayern might not be able to create anything because Lewandowski's only just coming back into form.
And Lewandowski,
Ribery, Robben, still reliant on those guys at the age of 30.
I saw
a combined age of like 69.
I saw a stat the other day. I think in the last 4 games or 3 games, Lewandowski his expected goals have been like average at 1.8 per 90.
Oh,
which is absolutely obscene.
Well, recently, yeah, he's been playing a lot better. But at the beginning of the season, like he wasn't even the best attacker in the squad. Like James Rodriguez was getting more chances than him, and that was really. I mean, they still got to figure out how the attack works, and the fact that Serge Gnabry like rescued a point for them the other day, you just think, oh my God,
that was terrible defending for that goal.
They've taken 8 from a possible 18 in the league, I think. So in the last few games, it's just not really good enough.
But Dortmund were so bad against Atleti. Like they beat them 4-0 at home, and then they went away to them. And Atleti have been really bad this season, like genuinely bad. The defence has got worse, the attack's horrible. And yet, I looked at the stats at the end of the first half. Atleti had 11 shots with 6 on target. Jesus. Dortmund had 1, and it was off target. And that was pretty much the story of the game. Like Dortmund played some good passes to get into the final third, and once they got there was very little to be done. Like Hakimi's pretty impressive at left back at the moment, and there are a lot of good individual performances, but they just kind of look like a father side. It's like they just hope to be resolute in the defence and then hope that one of their wingers does something out of this world in attack.
But they've got such talented wingers, it does often happen.
Sure, but Bayern have such talented defenders that it might not work on this occasion. Like the midfield battle will be interesting because this is the weakest Bayern's midfield has been in a long time. Like no Tolisso, obviously Vidal's gone, Thiago's always in and out, Goretzka yet to really gel in my opinion. Like you kind of think this used to be the best midfield in Europe, and now it's only a very, very good midfield. So I don't know. Witsel has a game, or Delaney Witsel has a game.
Witzel's been like the key to Borussia Dortmund this season. I kind of battered that signing when it first happened. Yeah. I thought this is such a poor bit of business from a club that has built a whole reputation and ethos on turning over and unveiling quality young players that they've either picked up from Europe or further abroad, and they go and sign Witsel, who's never really been at a big club, for a fairly chunky fee, I think, in the end. Was it like 20 million euros, something like that?
I feel like it was quite pricey.
He was in China?
Yeah.
He was from China, wasn't he? And he's turned out to be an absolute gem for the midfield. I think he's played every single game so far under Favre.
Is Weigl still playing?
He's playing a bit, but recently it seems like it is like Witsel, Delaney, or Guerrero has played in midfield a little bit as well, I think, when he's been fit.
Let's get a prediction then for Borussia Dortmund Bayern.
Where was it?
Bayern
Sorry?
will win. I think it's at Bayern.
That's tough. Just to the fact that Borussia Dortmund have been more solid at home. Obviously, they've been winning every game, but I mean, they are more solid at home. And I think going away is a much more difficult task. I'm going to say, reluctantly, because I really want Dortmund to win this, I'm going to say 2-1 Bayern.
Yeah, same. Quite conservative prediction.
I'm going to go 1-0 Bayern.
Ooh.
Terrible, turgid game. But I still think Bayern are getting a result. It's probably just the past 15 years of dominance built up in my head. What do you guys at home think the score is going to be in the Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich match? Let us know in the comments below, and also let us know about the Manchester derby, because we are doing a live watch along. The Football Social is happening for the Manchester derby. I believe we've got Sean Go to the City legend, Feed the Go and he will score, and Al Farran, who's a massive Manchester United fan and impressionist, on the sofa alongside Smithy, I think Jackson's there, and Pete Dorman as well. So tune into that at 3:45 on Sunday. Anything else to add, gentlemen?
Don't know, I think that's it. Oh, check out the podcast, by the way.
Yes.
If you want to hear more of that discussion about AC Milan and what they should do if they want to move on from Gattuso, then check out the podcast. Joe wasn't on it this week, me and Hamill. But I think it's quite a decent one despite your absence. You're actually in Milan.
Yeah, I was in Milan and
Ironically.
just offered nothing still. So.